and greetings from Chicagoland. I'm Munira Zahabi, the niche navigator, and welcome to Munira's Musings. I'm your host, podcaster, author, coach, and international speaker. Each week, I bring you insightful conversations with extraordinary individuals who share their unique perspectives and stories. Join me on this captivating journey as we explore new ideas and inspirations. Now, let's dive into today's episode with our special guest.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the niche navigator, coming to you live with another guest, another intriguing guest. Our guest today is Dawn Rivers, all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you very much, Munira.
So Dawn empowers women. She empowers women. Now, why do women need empowering? That's a question she's going to answer. But before we start, let's talk about why we do these shows. Are you an entrepreneur thinking of starting a business, or you've got a business but you don't know the right things to say or to do? Well, this show is here to intrigue you, and we want you to jump into entrepreneurial sea with us and take action. Until then, until you hear all of us talking to you, you haven't taken action yet, but we want you to do just the right thing and jump with us. So these stories, these entrepreneurs that I have interviewed are giving us some inkling to their journey, to their niche, and why is their niche important to them? Maybe you haven't found your niche yet, or you have found it, but you are just looking for that little push. Whatever it is, thank you for listening. And without further ado, let's go to Dawn. Dawn, welcome to Cleveland, Ohio. And why did you start your business? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started my coaching business, as a mindset coach for women in business to empower them, because a lot of the women who have come to me have great, fantastic, wonderful ideas, but they're not getting returns on these ideas. They're not making the money. They are overwhelmed. They're overloaded. They're unorganized, and they need to slowly come down to one thing. So before this, I was a school librarian for 20 years, and then I owned a yoga studio for 5 years. And during that time, people would come to me and ask me questions. Will you be my mentor? Will you help me do this? Can I try doing this here at your studio? And I mentored them, but I didn't realize I was coaching them. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I had coaches, but I was like, I can't be a coach. I don't have the skills. I had the whole imposter syndrome thing. I did not believe that I could, but when I looked back, I said, oh, this is what I've been doing anyway on the side.
I mean, this happened to me as well, because when I was in the pharma world, I had people come and talk to me, and I was coaching them unless you are exposed to all of this, or you have an eye-opening moment, you don't know that you are influencing and coaching other people, right?
Right.
So I love that. I love that about that. So go on.
So anyway, the first thing I did, I had what I called the Business of Yoga Academy. And the Business of Yoga was all about women who were in my sphere who didn't necessarily want to be yoga teachers or yoga studio owners. They just love the aspect of yoga, the wisdom of yoga, the philosophy that comes from this ancient tradition. And I infused that into what I taught. And they were like, oh, this is so good. So I had these 9 tenets that I got from the Yamas and the Yamas, from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And I infused that into my business academy that I taught. So once I decided to go full-time into just coaching and I closed my studio, I was like, oh, let's see. And it took some time. It took some iterations for me to figure out how I wanted to help women, because they were still coming to me with the same aspects. And I was like, well, I have a global influence. I would love to help other women have a global influence, to start global small businesses so they can have an impact across the world. They can create a legacy for their family and their communities, and then they can have a product or service that will help another woman elevate her life. And then most likely she'll hire or contract other women, and just become this big cycle of women empowered around the world.
You talked about legacy.
Yes.
So why do women need to leave a legacy?
Why do we need to leave a legacy is because I believe because we are usually beholden to somebody else to take care of us, beholden for somebody else to make a decision for us. But if we create a legacy for our family, then our family will see that they can do it on their own as well. So it creates wealth, it creates property ownership, real estate, however you want to say that. It creates this empowerment across generations. So when they're leaving a legacy, they have something that belongs to them. They can say, my mom did this, my aunt did this, my grandmother did this, my spouse did this. And like you created something. This is why we're on this here right now. You took a chance for yourself, and I'm sure you're leaving a legacy for the women who are influenced by you and your family, even your maybe the males, the sons, the nephews, the grandsons, the husbands. They see what you're doing, and they're like, I'm proud of her. So the legacy has ripples. It's an effect that keeps going and reverberates out into the world. So that's why I want legacy.
I love that. So you talk about coaching and you need people, you said mentoring and coaching, and that's amazing. You said you had coaches. So why did you have coaches? And why did you think that you couldn't be a coach?
Well, I had a coach because I didn't know what I was doing. I had an idea and I needed somebody who had gone down the path before me. So my first mentor, her name is Faith Hunter. She was one of my yoga teachers. And I had just gotten on Instagram. This was probably 2016. And I was looking for other Black women, yoga teachers, yoga studio owners, because that's where I wanted to go. So I would follow her and I would ding her on Instagram, and I would say comments. When she came to Columbus, Ohio, which is about a 2.5 hour drive from where I live, I went to a workshop that she was presenting. And I was like, hi. She was like, wait a minute, are you Daybreak Yoga? And I said, I am, because that's what my studio was called. Well, I didn't have the studio at the time. That was my brand. And I said, will you be my mentor? And she said, well, sure. But you have to do a 500-hour yoga training with me. And this was before Zoom was really a thing and people were teaching online and having memberships. And she was in Washington, D.C. And I was like, wait a minute. I got to do training with you in Washington, D.C., and I live in Cleveland, Ohio. How am I going to do this? I didn't know how I could do it. But there was another friend who was in this program, and she said, you can do it. I drive from Columbus once a month. You can make it happen. And so I was like, and I did. So I would drive to D.C. once a month so she could be my mentor, because she had owned a studio in New York at one time and then another in D.C. She had gone down the path that I wanted to go. So I needed somebody to show me the way. So she was my mentor. Then my first coach, he was in kind of like the meditation sphere. And he did business and meditation and marketing, and he was an entertainer. And this was, again, before people did Zoom. We had phone calls on Monday nights. At the time he lived in Los Angeles, and the calls would be at 10 p.m. my time. This was after I worked a full day in the library. I worked a full day in the library. I would teach 2 classes at my yoga studio. I would come home, get on this call at 10 p.m. and did my best to stay like awake and alert, because he was also giving me business insight that I didn't have. So I was hungry for a coach who was steps ahead of me. And that's all a coach really is. They have a view that is a little bit wider. They have a panoramic view. They see the steps in which you need to take in order to take you there. So I could tell people I'm their guide on their journey, right? I have gone down this path. So follow me. I'm going to help you so you don't trip, you don't fall, you don't stumble, you don't get caught in cobwebs or get stuck by burrs and briars, but you make your way through. And then the other side, you're like, oh my gosh, Dawn, you helped me. And then you know the path and you can take the next person down the path if that's what you want.
Isn't that such a wonderful concept, right? It's not only just a concept, it's a perfect example of how people help each other. And I've had coaches as well. I've had mentors as well who've actually held my hand and gone through that. Now, I'm not talking about just business, but my first mentor, in the sense of mentor, was a young man who worked as a corporate drug rep, right? And he came in and he would teach me stuff, right? Because I was very new in the medication pharma world, and he would teach me stuff. And I never understood it, but it was every day on Thursday at 2:00, he would show up and say, what questions do you have? And I'm like, until for a whole year, he helped me understand the pharma and the words. So it's not always just coaching your business or anything. It's how they take you through life in that one aspect. So I love that fact that you had 2 people who were actually helping you. And here's the other thing that I heard, which you didn't say, but I heard, is that if you want something, you're going to make a way to get it.
Absolutely.
Figure out a way.
Yes.
He had to drive from Columbus to Cleveland. You're in Cleveland. So from Cleveland to Washington, which is what, 3.5 hours?
6.
6 hours. Okay, so 6 hours. And I don't know how you did it, but you did it. You were there to have this person pour into you.
1 full year.
Right. And you did it and you survived and you look what you have now. So when you started with the yoga and then you went into coaching, do you still have the yoga now?
Well, I do yoga for corporations or for an organization or private clients, but I don't teach classes anymore. My focus is using the wisdom of yoga inside of my coaching, because I think that yoga is a lifestyle. I think that the tenets and principles of yoga cross over every aspect of culture. It can be infused in religion. It can be infused in other philosophies. So I grounded my framework in yoga. So yoga, yes, is there, but the physical asana practice, not so much. So I usually have my students do meditation. They have access to some past yoga things that I have. We do some breath work. We do some grounding. So there are things that are there that are part of the mindset that come from yoga. So I believe, like the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, we talk about, the first one is called ahimsa, which is a part of the yama. So ahimsa means to do no harm. So in my framework, I call it practice peace. So in order for us to have a thriving business, we first have to practice peace within ourselves. We need to give ourselves grace. We need to give ourselves like a slowing down, a focusing, of resting, of self-care. And as we do that, then we can remove some of the distractions, some of the things that cause us to have like stumbles, and then we can focus on the business. But we have to take care of ourselves first. And that's a part of the framework. And almost every coach I've ever had, there's always a mindset piece that people have to go back to, because usually their mind is not settled. They don't have peace in their mind.
And why do you think that is?
Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons why. Because of shiny object syndrome. We want to do so many things. We're like that little squirrel, like over here, over here, over here. And we get excited. And all that excitement gets the brain overacted or overactivated. Social media, movies, magazines, our entertainers. We have such complicated lives that have brought us away from our foundation, right? The global pandemic helped people slow down. You know, like there was less pollution and smog, there was less noise, there was less things that were pulling us away from our intentional like purpose. And when we had to slow down, and when we were sitting at home, the only person we were with usually was our family or by ourselves, and we had to listen, we had to be still, and we had to have this time to have peace and heal. Even though there were some very terrible things that happened in the pandemic, there were some good things that birthed out of it. So that's a reminder for us to all slow down. It's a reminder for us to all take a moment to be grateful, take a moment to just be still, take a moment to rest and reset and restore.
I like that. So, and you start your sessions with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And it calms us down, it grounds us. Even if it's just for 2 minutes, it grounds us. Take a deep breath. And that's what other people say, right? Just let's take a deep breath.
Yes.
I see that a lot with the mothers, young mothers, when they have kids who've been on the park and they're fighting for toys and everything. And then the mothers will come and say, let's take a deep breath. So it's not just adults, but they're teaching these habits to the young ones too, because they also need to figure out, they need to calm down before they start talking. And I know that because my daughter-in-law does that a lot with the kids. Okay, let's take a deep breath and then let's talk about it.
Well, I mean, the breathing impacts the nervous system. So this ancient philosophy was also connected to an ancient science. And this science also helped, even though they didn't necessarily like see the inside of the body, they knew that there was a correlation or a connection. So when we breathe deeply, it settles the nervous system. It brings us from the state of activation, of excitement, sometimes of fear, back down to rest, back down to restoring, back down to focusing. We can be more aware of everything instead of like, okay, I got to get out of here. What's coming after me? So the breath will make the heart rate slow down. It relaxes the belly so you can digest. It relaxes the muscles. There's so many good things about it. That's why I can't let yoga go. It's still in there.
You know, there was a study that I just recently came across that there is not a lot of people who are breathing. It was a study done by two doctors. One of them was an oncologist.
Hmm.
One of them was a heart specialist. And he said, it's amazing that people don't breathe.
Yes, they don't.
So yoga teaches us how to breathe as well.
Yes.
And so this is amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, one thing if you haven't done, two things I learned today is just breathe and calm yourselves, take care of yourselves, number one. And then number two was you have that dream and you know who can help you achieve it. So make time, figure out a way to go achieve it because that's what you want. I mean, think about the fact that you were dating at one point and you wanted that person in your life. And didn't you just do whatever it takes? So business is also something like that. It tries to elude you. If you read Think and Grow Rich, in one point, Napoleon says that success tries to elude you. You gotta keep after it. You have to be consistent. So if you're listening to this, this is something that you want to take away with. Now, Dawn, so what is it? What are the new things that you're working on now?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about some of the new things. First of all, I want to say maybe about 4 months ago, I decided to create an archetype of women that I usually work with, women that come into my influence. So this archetype turned into a quiz where people can take the quiz to see if they're one of three people. So they are called Stagnant Stella, Searching Serena, and Thriving Teresa. So Stagnant Stella, she's in the state of overwhelm. There's so many things going on, but she is looking for answers. She's like, I don't know why my life is like this. Why does this keep happening to me? She's stuck in a job that she doesn't necessarily like, and she doesn't know what to do. So she's usually the person that comes to me for coaching, one-on-one coaching, and she needs some advice, she needs some tools, she needs a strategy. So I teach her a framework. I call it her personal framework. And then there's a Searching Serena. The Searching Serena has so many ideas. She wants to start a business. She wants to lose weight. She wants to run a marathon. She wants to be a comedian. She wants to get her doctorate. She has all these things, and it's like almost chaos because she's searching. And she thinks that I can go back to school. I can get another certificate. I can go to this training. And I'm like, whoa. Let's slow down. So she needs my academy. The Awakened Woman Academy is for her. She needs a community. She needs support. She needs accountability. And she needs somebody to help hone and focus because she has a business idea. She's okay in her job. She's kind of in routine, but she's like, I want more. I know I can do more. I have a great idea. And so I'm like, well, come on into this academy. The academy is 6 months. We have weekly coaching. She has access to a ton of resources and materials. And she has a cohort of people who are on the same track as her. And they need guidance, and they need someone who can say, you got this, let's do one step at a time. By the end of 6 months, you'll be launching your small business into the global sphere. And then lastly, I have Thriving Teresa. Thriving Teresa is the person who's like, I have done the work. I have settled my nervous system. I have started my business, or I'm in a good mind space in my job. I have leadership potential. I want to mentor other people. And she is ready for what I'm relaunching called Club Awaken, which will be my membership that's going to be launching this coming 2025. So the membership is going to have weekly calls for people who have ideas and who just need support and they just want some training. They don't necessarily want coaching. The coaching is inside of the academy, but the Club Awaken is more of a membership where they can put some ideas in there and they're like, well, I need something specific on this topic. And then they'll join and I can give them those topics inside of Club Awaken.
That's amazing. Excuse me. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So there are different types of people who are, I like Searching Serena because she's always like a squirrel. She's always looking. And I was guilty of it too, because, right. And the thing is that we go there because we get overwhelmed. We don't see the results with the first course. How many times have we purchased a course and shelved it and not used it? If you're guilty for it, if you're guilty of it, go ahead and leave us a comment and say guilty, or just say, yes, I've purchased courses. But the thing is, there's so many things that we've got in our back office. Sometimes we forget what we have and we are not doing enough. So one of the things that I'm going to ask all of you is to take an inventory. Because this is a lesson as well, and we are coaches here, so we'll teach you this. Take an inventory of what courses you have invested in? And what are you going to do with that? Have you completed those courses? Have you done the work? Because if you haven't, instead of looking for a new course, go finish what you have. Because it's like looking at your closet, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
And
she got you guys. She got you.
so I was guilty of it too. And I have, for the last 2 years, for 23 and 24, gone back and looked at what of the things that I have purchased and made a very clear decision that I'm not purchasing anything until I have completed all of it. It's not that the new courses will not do justice. You just got to go finish what you, because you thought of these courses, one, you thought they were going to help you, but they can't help you if you haven't done the work.
Exactly.
So I've been not on Facebook as much. I've not done a lot of social media because I had to take a step back and figure out, one, what I need, what I'm going to leave as my legacy, and how I'm going to show up in the new light. Because when you do something, when you learn something, you become a little bit more refined than you were yesterday.
Yes.
You are shiny. Now you're shinier and you feel better. And you can people can see the light shine through you, right? And it's amazing when that happens. So I'm asking everybody listening to do this exercise. Go take an inventory of what you have. And if you do have, then go make sure that you've completed all the courses. There is going to be more courses in your future. I promise you that. Are you in the position to go buy a new one now? Or do you want to complete what you have?
So I want to say two things about that. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to have the academy and not just another course, because people fall off. They do not finish the courses. But in the academy, we have coursework and we have coaching. So they have accountability weekly with me. I'm checking in with them all the time. We have a Slack channel that we share resources and information and have check-ins on there, because I don't want them to waste their time or their money. I want them to have a finished result. I want them to accomplish what they said they wanted. Because at the beginning, I'm like, in 6 months, what are the goals that you want to have accomplished? Now, they might not be the same by the time we actually start with goal setting, which is this week. We're going to really look at SMART goals. But I want them to think about, what is this process, so you don't fall off. The other thing, I'm doing a free seminar, a local event in person. I haven't done an in-person event in a while. And then I'm going to go online and do it. But it's called Fresh Start, Your Fresh Start, because people have so much going on and they need direction on how to focus, how to get rid of the clutter, the excess, how to get their lives back on track. And one of the things that I teach in my trainings and in my coaching and in the seminar is first doing a physical reset, because you probably have too much stuff. Like you said, in that closet, you got some things in that closet that you don't wear. You got another this, another that. I just took out 3 bags only out of my closet. I didn't even go into the secondary closet or to my shoes or to my dresser drawers. And these 3 bags, I was like, oh my gosh, I have too much stuff. It's time to do, like you said, an inventory of those things. And some things you no longer need. And that's a part of the fresh start. You have to release energetically, sometimes release physically, emotionally, intellectually, so you can have space for the next thing to come in. So that's a part of your fresh start. So it's going to be coming online soon, but in October here, if you're in the Cleveland area, or if you want to drive to the Cleveland area, it's a free event that I'm hosting, showing you how to get your life back on track by doing some very specific things that are physical, emotional, financial, medical, this whole list of things to help people have a fresh start.
That's amazing. Yeah. I learned something from my daughter's friend, talking of closets. She was a teacher here in the Chicagoland area, and then she decided for a whole year she's going to take some time off and go travel the world. She gave up her apartment, which she did. She went to West Africa. She went to Southwest Africa. Then she went to Kenya, Tanzania.
Oh, wow.
And she went to India, right? So she did. She had friends from those countries, Ghana, Nigeria. So she did all of that. And she strategically planned it. And she also found schools that would allow her to come and teach, so they could give her boarding and lodging.
I love that.
Right. And she was really strategic. And what she did, she calls me auntie. She goes, Munira, auntie, this is what I did. I had 6 clothing items. 6. I don't know how she did it, but she had six. Apart from the undies, just outerwear, just six. And she goes, I had a few accessories, I had scarves, I had this thing. So sometimes I would wear the same outfit with a different scarf and a different jewelry. And nobody would know that I'm wearing the same outfit. It worked. So that gave me an idea that if this young woman, the age of my daughter, has figured this out, then I do it in my closet, right? So I know this is completely different, but
No, it's not. It's all related. It's not different.
no, I mean, it's nothing to do with a niche. But the thing is, the better decluttered you are, the better you have to receive more.
Yes. That's a part of the mindset. So at the beginning, I said I'm a mindset coach for women in business. So I do business coaching and mindset coaching. You got to get your mind right first. You've got to get your home together. You need to clear out your space. So that's also part of the framework. I call it systematic structures. And in order to be systematic, you have to look at what you have. You've got to do an inventory, like you said. You have to clean out, you have to declutter, you have to refocus, because there's probably way too many distractions. And we do that. We buy, we consume to fill a hole or a void in our lives. There's something that's missing. I say it's a God-shaped hole in us. And God, to me, might be different than a God to you. But you're filling it up probably with objects. It might seem like it's not a big deal. You're like, oh, I love gemstones. I keep buying all of these amethyst and rose quartz and all of these, jade. But why do you keep buying them? There's probably something missing inside of you, and you're thinking, oh, I can fill them up with this energetic, these crystals. No, go deeper. There's probably something there. Or I love gym shoes. I have 100 pair of gym shoes. Okay, why do you need 100 pair of gym shoes?
Right.
There's probably something, there's some kind of void. So as your niece, your daughter's friend, decided to become a minimalist, she said, in order for me to have the experience, the impact, I cannot carry something heavier from country to country. I need to be able to move swiftly if I need to. I need to be able to integrate if I need to. And you know what? People don't really care what you have on. They really don't. They want to have this eye contact. They want to have a physical connection. They want to have good conversations with you. So what you have on doesn't matter.
Right.
Unless
right.
you don't feel good about yourself. I mean, like you put out in the email for this, you said, wear something that makes you feel good about yourself. I love pink. I love it. Pink makes me feel feminine. It makes me feel light. It makes me feel energetic. So that's what I'm going to wear almost every single interview that I ever do for any podcast. I'm going to wear pink. It's my favorite color. But I've worn this same pink shirt several times because it's one of my favorites. I didn't give it away because I said, I'm going to wear it again.
Cool. I love that. So, Dawn, where do people find you?
It's very easy. I have my website, my social medias are all the same. Dawn M. Rivers. So my website is dawnmrivers.com. So it's DAWN, M as in Mary, RIVERS.com. So my academy's on there. Soon the relaunching of the membership will be on there. One-on-one coaching is on there. And some of my other freebies. I have a ton of freebies for you as well on my website.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. She's a mindset coach and she helps women leave a legacy. You have a legacy you want to leave, talk to her. She
Yes.
is available on Dawn M. Rivers, and go find her, talk to her. And before you do that, because she's going to ask you to do that, just go ahead and look at all the courses, all of the things in your closet. Let's try to declutter so that we can receive more. It helps, I promise you that. Until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, next week with a new guest, a new perspective, a new niche. We'll see you. Please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you like this, and share this because this is something somebody else wants to hear. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Hello and greetings from Chicagoland. I'm Munira Zahabi, the niche navigator, and welcome to Munira's Musings. I'm your host, podcaster, author, coach, and international speaker. Each week, I bring you insightful conversations with extraordinary individuals who share their unique perspectives and stories. Join me on this captivating journey as we explore new ideas and inspirations. Now, let's dive into today's episode with our special guest,